Yeah, they do not love you guys. When somebody hates you, they lie to you. They con you out of your money. It's plain and precious. How did you miss it? And the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hate you. They're conning you out of your money. And they're doing it to get their kingdom back. They are the enemy. And if you support them and give them aid and comfort, you too are the enemy. Plain and precious. Plain and precious.
Stay in harmony with the Lord's anointed, those whom he has designated to declare church doctrine and maintaining loyalty to prophetic leadership.
Each of you bring your right arm to the square. Each of you bow your head and say yes.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
In coming days,
those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming.
are you a full tithe payer?
But believe me, when you're cutting that work syndrome and you finally come home, the last thing you want to give is love and patience. And what starts to happen is your family begins to look at you as this grumpy old guy who works all the time. And all you can think about is, why don't they appreciate me like the people I work with? And your wife gets a little disappointed because you don't have enough time to help with the family. And that usually leads to, she doesn't understand me. And that usually leads to, not like the women at the office understand me. And pretty soon the women at the office start looking better and better, and your family looks worse and worse, and before you know it, boom, you've lost everything.
Among the most common sexual sins, pregnancy, all ugly sins, but in and of themselves, they're pernicious evils.
Where'd you find the Book of Mormon? Spectre.
So plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of
Emmanuel.
just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
Pastore di Francesca. Pastore Vincenzo di Francesca has been ordered before the Committee of Censure on this, the 3rd day of January 1912, to answer charges of heretical preaching and the promotion of disharmony among the pastoral brotherhood. It has been
Vincenzo, they tell me you have a book from which you are preaching new doctrine.
I have, Reverendo.
And what is the name of this book?
Its name had long since been worn from the cover when I found it, and the title page was missing. I do not know the name of it.
No matter. The book has been a source of trouble and disharmony to the Brotherhood.
The attendance at your colleagues' sermons has been dwindling, while I could hardly find a seat at your service last week.
Such sensationalism and inequality is disruptive to the peace of the Brotherhood.
Quite so, Vincenzo. The Council is determined that for the good of the Brotherhood, and for your good, you must burn the book.
I cannot burn the book, because I fear God. I have asked him if it is true, and my prayers have been answered affirmatively, positively, without a shade of doubt. I feel it in my whole heart, mind, and body at this instant.
That book, which oppresses you, must be burned, or you will incur the most serious displeasure.
I repeat, I will not burn the book. I prefer to go out of the ministry rather than burn the book.
Damn you! God damn you all to hell!
So, I guess the Oscars were last night. Travis went good, so if that's the case, then I'll see if YouTube has a red carpet for the fashion of the women. Revelation chapter 18. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful birds. Angry Birds. Wasn't that a kid that created that one? I have yet to play it. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Sure enough. That's why he's been escalating ever since he got put in. 1 Nephi chapter 14. And when the day cometh, verse 17, that the wrath of God is poured out upon the mother of harlots, which is the great and abominable church of all the earth, whose founder is the devil, baby name meaning Lucifer. Then at that day the work of the Father shall commence in preparing the way for the fulfillment of his covenants, having to do with Zion, which he hath made unto the people who are of the house of Israel. Yah, Prince of God. Only a false translator would say something otherwise. You know, hypothetically, let God prevail. That's a white supremacist version of it, because they ignore Hebrew because they're anti-Semitic. So if you recognize anybody who has said, let God prevail for the meaning of Israel, yeah, you know they're the devil. I'm willing to bet their baby name meaning is Lucifer. I've been doing the videos all these years since he said it. Doctrine and Covenants, section 76. They are they, verse 32, who are the sons of perdition, of whom I say that it had been better for them never to have been born. For they are vessels of wrath, doomed to suffer the wrath of God with the devil and his angels in eternity. You getting the point? The devil is associated with wrath, hate, anger, violence, taking away agency, threatening people to obey or die. When the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints tell you that Joseph Smith is Christian and that Jesus is the Christ, you do know he's lying. They're lying to you, right? Why is Google not showing? Oh my God. I'm telling you, I am not seeing any intelligent person designing AI algorithms. I'm just not seeing it. And so, yeah, Ramadan today. And so Elder Patrick Kiernan shares Ramadan greetings with Muslims around the world because he's from Saudi Arabia. That was part of the deal that Nelson made with the Saudi Arabian princess. There was the kings too. Did I read that? I hope I did. Because the Great and Abominable Church deals with kids. Oh, isn't that great? Grandpa Oaks. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was you. Perfect. Mr. Hater, pants on fire himself. When Oaks is the one that says you can't criticize the brethren even if the criticism is correct. He says that the first law is obedience. No, the first law is sex. Technically, orgasm. And so, yes, you know he's lying to you. And he's lying in such a manner as to scare you and threaten you to obey him with punishments threatened upon those who are disloyal and disobedient. You automatically know they are of the devil, because that is not in Scripture. And so, yeah, back on March 9th, Oaks and a primary general presidency talk about being a disciple to little kids. Listen to the title here. Children, learn how to follow Jesus Christ during Friend to Friend. It's technically great-great-grandpa Oaks. God. So I'm a grandpa, apparently. And so that would mean in the 70s would be great-grandpa, and then 90s, and he's getting, isn't he around 90? Getting close to it, if not. That would make him great-great-grandpa. 91 years old. Yeah, he's great-grandpa. Because you got to get married young. Brigham Young University. Yep. Once you get back from your mission, you got to immediately marry a woman, because you're not allowed to masturbate or have sex outside of getting sealed in the temple. Which, yes, that's another thing. Sexual abuse by the prophets. Denying science, denying our human bodies, telling us that it's evil, that we've got to forsake it and obey them. And then go into graphic detail with our bishop when we fall, because everybody falls. That's the trap. So, yes, how do you know when they're lying to you? Because you are believing in the scriptures, right? The scriptures say that you shall know a false prophet by their fruits. You put the prophets to the test, right? So which church was Joseph's church? Learning of the Jews. Oops. Automatically false to claim that it was Christian. So who changed it? Brigham Young did, obviously. Brigham Young was caught in the Joseph Smith papers, having changed the name of the church while Joseph Smith was locked up in Liberty Jail to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Danites, as they called themselves, i.e. the judges from Hebrew, had judged Joseph Smith and replaced his church with Christianity. And then claimed that Joseph Smith was the one who approved all of this, as Brigham Young takes over the church in 1838. This is evil. In the Joseph Smith history of 1838, canonized, we learn in verse 1 that it is Brigham Young who is responsible for this, because they changed the name of his church. Joseph Smith calls it the Church of the Latter-day Saints. You're not even bothering to go to the Joseph Smith papers, are you? I have to do all the work and you still won't believe me. Everything was changed by Brigham. And when Joseph Smith got back out, they went back into hiding again. Joseph Smith wasn't supposed to get out, that naughty boy. He's supposed to stay behind bars. And so section 115 is a forged document. This is not the name of the church. So hypothetically, if a president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also gets up at the pulpit of conference and says that this is the name of the church because Jesus said so, you know they're a false prophet automatically. And section 116. Well, are we sure that there's going to be an Adam-on-Diamond priesthood meeting? What's that meeting for again? Oh, right. Lucifer is going to hand over the keys to Jesus for government. Really? The same Jesus who approved of the Constitution of the United States of America and even inspired our founding fathers to make it is now wanting to overthrow the government? Destroy the Constitution and turn it into a monarchy. Really? Just like those kingmen in the Book of Mormon. They were misunderstood by Mormon who wrote about it. They were good boys, returned missionaries. They were judged wrong. 116, forged document, and those that follow thereafter in the Joseph Smith papers. Blatantly obvious. 117. This one's fun. Because Newell K. Whitney is exposed, supposedly by Joseph Smith, as being a Danite. Newell K. Whitney's home is right there at Abominable. And the Nicolaitan band is the Danites. Are we sure? Because Newell K. Whitney, didn't he continue on here to the valley? Or did he stay behind? Yeah, he remained a bishop. Presiding bishop under Brigham Young till 1850. That's when he died, September 23rd. I wasn't expecting to see that. Only the people who believe are watching. Those who don't believe are already gone and upset, and they demonstrated the love of Jesus. Yep, we've got further confirmation that there is some higher power in charge of all of this that's going on. And no, you cannot put Heavenly Father of the Christians. You cannot put Allah of Islam. You cannot replace the Jews. This is an independent, confirmed, yet again, by the facts. Deuteronomy 19 is the law of the Jews as to how to deal with a false accuser. False accusers are to receive the same punishment of the crime that they falsely accused in another person. Okay? So, Brigham Young falsely accuses Thomas B. Marsh of apostasy when it was the Danites who threatened him to join the new Danite insurrection or die. So he left, fled the church. Brigham Young, as the new president of the Missionary 12, wrongly assumed authority he did not have and sent Thomas B. Marsh a letter saying you must appear on the 17th of March for your disciplinary council to be excommunicated for apostasy. And thus, I did the video for the 7th of March about that being up above who already knew in advance that this was going to happen. I can't explain this, but that's the way it is. Established scientifically through facts. It's just I can't explain the source origin of the coming of the replacement of Brigham Young, who has authority. And now, I am now witnessing here the same thing. 23rd September 2017, Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5. The Smiths knew about this because in the Joseph Smith translation and the Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. And there we have it. September 23rd is when he dies. September 23rd is the birth start of the ministry of the true Christ of Mormons. Amazing. These Jews, dear God, why Christians hate them so much, but then claim that their scriptures are so true? Just not under the interpretation of the Jews. You can't change the interpretation and claim that it's going to happen as your new interpretation says it's going to happen. By denying the Jews, you deny the scriptures, and so you can't say that they're true, right, Mormons? To the Book of Mormon? That is supersessionism. You have replaced the original source and turned it into your own. It is an evil. And so the Book of Mormon is true in the learning of the Jews. It is not true in the learning of Christian Mormons. That's why critics keep pointing this out to you. There are no cows in literal history Christian Mormon interpretation. It is plagiarized according to literal history Christian Mormon interpretation. The late war, the 1769 King James Version of the Bible, errors and all, etc., 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 etc. But in the learning of the Jews, Sidney Rigdon's the major author. Joseph Smith Sr. had to rewrite the 116 pages. That's why there's Jewish Kabbalah and York Rites Freemasonry in there. That's why they used certain books in the Book of Mormon to teach you something. It is a warning message of a threat to your lives, in case you hadn't read the ending of the Book of Mormon. And in case you missed the ending of the Book of Mormon, they provided the ending of the Jaredite record for you, which was the same. Okay? And so this right here, section 117, also forged document. The Danites tried to be clever, but in so doing they exposed their error, because they were claiming that Joseph Smith was the leader of the Danites, but here they made the mistake of saying that Joseph Smith was against the Danites and exposing Noel K. Whitney as being part of the Danites. Oops. If only Oliver Cowdery could figure that out. He was told by David Whitmer, because David Whitmer also got threatened by the Danites. Join us or die. He chose to flee. And so he went and told Oliver Cowdery what had happened. And Oliver Cowdery was shocked and horrified. Joseph Smith changed the name of the church to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And all these dumbass ex-FOMOs are all focused on, I knew there was no plates. I knew it was all a fraud. It was from his pamphlet, Defense. How could you guys miss this? Dear God. Dear God. And so, section 119. Yeah, this was blatantly obvious, and anybody who can't make this connection is dumb. Even I, as a kid, was going, interest? 1/10 of my interest annually? Huh? Because I understood that getting interest means you own a job and you get interest from your sales above and beyond breaking even. And I couldn't understand this. Why am I having to give 1/10 of my wage? This isn't interest. I did not understand as a teenager having to go to get several jobs. I worked for Allied Van Lines, which was my basketball coach's job, delivering claim forms to people who moved into a new subdivision home, and also worked at what was Rusty's Pizza back then, and then after I left it became Russo's Pizza, and last I saw, I don't think it's Russo's anymore. I think it's gone. Can't remember. Maybe it's something else. It's been a while since I've checked. But I was a pizza deliverer. Nobody did the naked at the door thing. Though there was one filthy rich guy who answered the door drunk and handed me a big wad of bills. The other guys were so pissed that I was given that house, because they knew. Well, fun times. And then I didn't get paid, but I spent the night at the Stake Center when they had an art exhibit on Saturday. They wanted to make sure that the art was protected, and so yeah, there was somebody who was illegally parking in the parking lot overnight because their car broke down. Had to have it towed, can't be allowed. This is the church's property. And so, yeah, but it's even worse than forcing Mormons to pay even when they're poor, having to work as slaves for a company. Because all the surplus property is to be put in the hands of the bishop. No, okay, wouldn't he? For the building of mine house. For the laying of the foundation of Zion. Again, Adamondiaman. It's to overthrow the government. There it is, right there. Tithing, the Judas price to overthrow and betray the government. That's the foundation of Zion. For the priesthood. Wait a minute. Priestcraft is condemned by Jesus in the Book of Mormon. For the debts of the presidency, he's already getting paid for priestcraft. Now he's got debts? Yeah. Whatever he makes is not enough. He must have more. And Mormons must pay. And so yes, that's just the beginning of tithing. Then you gotta pay 1/10 of all your wages. This is abominable. And why Mormons can't catch it, why Mormons still stay in the church, I don't understand. And section 130, isn't this interesting? When the Savior shall appear, we shall see him as he is. We shall see that he is a man like ourselves. Everything's still A-OK, because that's the learning of the Jews. But here in John 14:23, the appearing of the Father and the Son in that verse is a personal appearance. And the idea that the Father and the Son dwell in a man's heart is an old sectarian notion and is false. They are purposely trying to deceive you, to say, no, they're human beings, but the first vision is literal. Father and Jesus appeared. That is incorrect. And so then you have the false prophecy claiming to be by Joseph that if he lives until he's 85 years old, he shall see the Son of Man. No, Joseph Smith knew the date of when he's coming. Don't let this fool you. Oops, you did? Like I said, they knew the date needed to include verse 5 in Revelation 12. That's the coming of the Son of Man. They knew this. They knew it was not 85 years old when it's 1890 for Joseph Smith. Do not get fooled. They're going over Revelation here even. Then the white stone mentioned in Revelation 2:17 will become a Urim and Thummim to each individual who receives one. No, they're mocking Joseph here. They do not understand. Forged document. And then oopsies, big time. Section 132. Magically appears out of nowhere, creatio ex nihilo, in Brigham Young's 1876 Doctrine and Covenants. It replaces Joseph Smith's monogamy chapter, section 101 in the 1835 Doctrine and Covenants. Everywhere, 6 times, not 1 time in Jacob, 6 times in the Book of Mormon, it condemns polygamy. And then Joseph Smith had a whole section in 1835 on monogamy, condemning polygamy. Joseph Smith excommunicated all who were caught and confessed to polygamy. Excommunicated. John C. Bennett excommunicated for polygamy. And then he went and said, no, Joseph Smith is. And thus led to his murder, assassination, because the Danites picked up on it and used it against Joseph. Just like Oliver Cowdery left because Joseph Smith and Sidney Rigdon were going in a direction for the church that Oliver Cowdery disapproved of, and so Oliver Cowdery left because he wanted to do it a different way. Really? That petty of a reason? Yep, that petty of a reason. And then became shocked that Joseph Smith went to the extreme. Changing the name of the church, being the leader of the Danites, murdering Mormons who didn't obey. Yeah, well, Joseph Smith was in jail at the time. That's what they did not realize when they published that document. It was Brigham Young who was leading the church. He wasn't going after any of the Danites. He wasn't excommunicating them. He wasn't finding them and correcting the message. Nope. The Elder's Journal that was published by Brigham Young put the wrong name of the church. Brigham Young is the leader of the Danites. The evidence is overwhelming in the Joseph Smith papers, and all Mormons have to do is read them and understand what you read. And so section 132, yeah, no, Brigham Young. And they tried to incorporate some of the 1843 Nauvoo Expositor posting by Sidney Rigdon's daughter, supposedly. Yeah, no, never happened. It was a forged letter to the paper. No, she wasn't involved with Joseph. None of the women were. And any of the women who wrote about it in their journal in this valley, those were the only women who claimed Joseph Smith had threatened them and raped them. Nobody who didn't go with Brigham said such things, including Sidney Rigdon's daughter. And so then you understand that those women were sex trafficked. 119, money. When money's involved in a criminal operation, it turns activities into crimes. And so polygamy becomes sex trafficking. Pioneer, yeah, human trafficking. Brigham Young was a criminal. This is very blatantly obvious to anybody who understands law. You cannot commit crime. But Brigham Young wanted nothing to do with the Articles of Faith. They weren't his. It was that Richards guy who was the president in England. Which, by the way, yeah, when Joseph Smith gave Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball their licenses to preach the Gospel of the Jewish Book of Mormon, it was the Church of the Latter-day Saints. It's in the Joseph Smith papers. But there's a difference. When supposedly they went to England and had licenses, the names changed. Huh. Those licenses are forged. They were not authorized to go to England. Oopsie. They forged Joseph Smith's signature. You can tell because you can match it with Joseph Smith's actual signature on the original documents that are legitimate with the wrong name of the church, the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Yep, very plain and precious. Right, Benson? Every member a Danite missionary. And so yes, you can see the forged documents when you understand they're lying to you. So 1843? No. The Danites were secretly fooling Mormon women, if he was really fooling them, or they were just slut whores, which that's what I'm more likely believing. Because for the men to be fooled by this, when you're being told that you're allowed to go around to other men's wives and say they have to have sex with you, do you not think that those same brethren are doing it to your wife? Yeah, so too many evidence that there was a lot of sexual promiscuity going on in the church. A lot of harlots and whores. Your third great grandmother was a whore. But not with Joseph Smith. Not with Hiram. Not with Sidney. The Danites lied to have sex with other men's wives and little girls. Willard Richards, for example. He claims that the two sisters were married to him by Joseph Smith in 1843. Oops, you shouldn't have kept a record of the actual marriage ceremony, dumbass. It was January 1846 to those two little girl sisters. And so now you understand it was Willard Richards who was the one who was accusing Joseph Smith of having sex with underage girls. so that he can do it. This is evil people. They falsely accuse to justify them doing it. You can sort of see that with a presidential candidate. Very blatantly obvious. All those rapists coming across our border, yeah, he's guilty of rape. Legally, he's now a rapist. Hilarious. What a loser. Why is everybody afraid of him? Dear God, he's a punk. So, yes. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints perpetuates the lies of the Danites. They do not love you. They say they do. We love you, brothers and sisters. Give us your money. And you fall for it. Dear God, you guys are suckers. And maybe it's just because you didn't grow up among bullies. Maybe you lived a charmed life. And you didn't watch R-rated movies. You watch Disney movies that have no hint of criminal behavior whatsoever. Right? Octopus, witch. With phallus symbols over Daddy's castle. Hilarious. But nonetheless, Mormons are easily fooled. The question is it because you know that this church is wicked? And you're perpetuating the lie? Threatening people to believe your lie, or you're going to hurt them? Because that's Jesus' love. We hurt you because we care. It's for your own good. You can't be trusted with your free agency, so we have to take it away. You have to do what we tell you to do for your life, and how to believe, and how to think, and how to feel. Because we know better than you. We cannot trust you with your agency. You're going to have sex. That first commandment. You're going to have orgasms. Yeah. And so, yeah, Section 132, you can commit any crime you want. Mormons love that. Oh, yeah, awesome. And if I call it self-defense or for their good, it's not murder. This is pure evil. Section 132 is a pure evil document. Nobody went to Emma and threatened her to have sex with them, or to let Joseph Smith have sex with them. This was created in 1832. Dear God. How can anybody fall for this? And yet, everybody has. Ex-FOMOs. Oh, in sacred loneliness, no man knows my history. Rough stone rolling. I have to validate them and their feelings. BS. No. They were threatened to write this in their journals. They were Danites. Evil women. Wicked woman. Witchy woman. Whatever song fits perfectly. And there's lots of them. So, yeah, they do not love you guys. When somebody hates you, they lie to you. They con you out of your money. It's plain and precious. How did you miss it? prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hate you. They're conning you out of your money. And they're doing it to get their kingdom back. They are the enemy. And if you support them and give them aid and comfort, you too are the enemy. Plain and precious. Plain and precious.